This meeting and this press discussion has two purposes. My colleague Jim McGovern has worked hard to arrange, and I've been glad to participate, the mayor's been helpful, and others, a tour which affects a number of projects on the waterfront. I mean, this waterfront is a great asset. Jim and I are very proud that we got that wild and scenic designation. By the way, those who said it was going to destroy economic development, I hope are ready to apologize, because it's very clear that there's no such negative impact. No, these are not. These are mics only for television, not for people. So I'll have to yell. We're very proud of having done the Wild and Scenic River designation over some angry opposition, bigoted opposition, and I think it's been proven not to have any negative economic effect. One of the problems we've had has been, now I know vampire movies have become popular, and vampires on the screen can be entertaining, but a vampire in one of the best pieces of property in our area, up there on the waterfront, known as Hess, is not much fun to be around. It's been clear from the beginning that that LNG plant will not be built. I was in Ed Lambert's office years ago when we told the people from Hess that. Subsequently, Jim McGovern has taken the lead, for instance, on the Brightman Street Bridge issue. The mayor has been very tough. The selectmen of Somerset, our state legislative delegation, has done a great deal. It is very clear that it's not going to be built. The Wild and Scenic designation interferes with it. The existing Brightman Street Bridge does. It's been turned down once. Unfortunately, the people who have been running that, and that's why I talk about a vampire, they refuse to recognize that they're dead. And the sad part of that is that that's been a drain on the city of Fall River. It's been a drain on the town of Somerset in terms of funding. People in the city have been very good in the leadership and in the town in trying to fight this. But they've got to pay legal fees. We've got to prepare testimony. Rhode Island has also been involved. And Jim and I finally decided that the time had come to drive a stake through this vampire's heart. And what we have done is work together, and Patrick Kennedy and Jim Langevin in Rhode Island worked with us on this, and we have the support of Senators Kerry and Brown. We have submitted to the House Appropriations Committee language, which I will be circulating to you very soon, which says, leaving no room for ambiguity, there will be no LNG plant built in Fall River. Now, that's the last resort, because you hope you don't have to legislate that specifically. But we need to protect the city of Fall River, the town of Somerset, town of Freetown, Rhode Island, from the threat that hangs over them and the need to spend the money. We know it's not going to be there, but we have to deal with it. It's also the case that once that's clear, the state then has the ability to decide what it wants to do with the old Brightman Street Bridge, now that we're finally getting the new bridge crossing. And secondly, and I think this is very important to Mayor Flanagan, who's done such a focus on economic development, we will have a piece of land there on the waterfront after the new, more accessible bridge that could be developed. So what we want to announce today is we are now assured that when Congress appropriates money this year for the Department of Energy, it will include language that's already begun to be adopted, and we have the leaderships in both houses committed to this, and if there's any question, it's going to go all the way through the process. But we wanted to wait until we were sure. The language says there will be no LNG plant. It's not subject to lawsuit. It's not subject to anything. So finally, we will not have to have this situation where money has to be spent to keep a project that's dead, already dead. And now, Jim will now outline the rest of the things we're going to do today, and then we'll both be available for questions.
Well, first of all, let me say that it's a privilege to serve with Barney Frank in the United States Congress, because he knows how to get things done, and he is always thinking of ways to advocate on behalf of the people of this community, and I feel very fortunate to represent the community here in Fall River along with him. But just to kind of repeat what Barney has said, the fact of the matter is this LNG facility has been dead for a very long time. When we protected the old Brightman Street Bridge, I think that was the first death knell for the LNG facility. Yet, the people that don't want to give up, and they can't believe that the community here, that the people of Fall River, the people of Somerset, actually organized and stood up to them. They didn't want to accept that, because never, ever has a community ever refused them anything. But here in this community, the people who live here stood up and said, we do not want this in our city. And the people here won. But we protected the old Brightman Street Bridge. Then there was the Wild and Scenic designation, which again was another stake through the vampire's heart. And they're still trying to pursue things. So there's no ambiguity. We are moving forward on this appropriations bill, which essentially says, as Barney says, you can't build an LNG facility here. And there'll be no federal money that will be available to advance any LNG facility here or anywhere near here. It is that simple. And if the company still wants to say that they're alive and still wants to say that they believe that there's a future for LNG here today, they can waste their shareholders' money, because that's what they're doing. It's dead. The old song, Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, it's dead. It's not going to happen here. Which brings us to the point of, the other point of our visit here today, and that is one about economic development. One of the things that has frustrated economic development along the waterfront has been the threat of this LNG. Restaurants, hotels, businesses did not want to locate on the waterfront where they were going to have an LNG facility. That's gone now. And our focus, along with the mayor, working with the lieutenant governor, and the Patrick Murray administration, we are going to focus like a laser beam on this area to figure out ways to attract new business and new development right here on Fall River's waterfront. So we're going to do Greg Bielecki, who heads up the governor's Economic Development Council, is here. We're going to walk through a number of places and talk about what the potential is here. And my hope is that, we'll get the governor to come back down here and maybe do a cabinet meeting here with local officials and business leaders and figure out where the future is. You're standing right now in the Narrows Center for the Performing Arts. This is an example of what can happen here. I mean, this is the potential here. This place is filled on numerous nights because they have entertainment here, and people come not just from Fall River, not just from Somerset, but from all over the region. They come here to listen to music, and then they go to a restaurant here in Fall River, or they go to a bar here in Fall River, and they contribute to the economy. We want more of these kinds of development projects along the waterfront, and that's kind of what our focus is here today. How can we help? How can we work with the mayor? How can we work with the city council, with the selectmen over in Somerset? How can we work to develop this area in a way that is meaningful, that brings more jobs and more economic development here today? This is incredible potential here. And as Barney says, I represent Worcester. Boy, what I wouldn't do for a waterfront in Worcester, right? We're trying to make one right now.
Let's get the train first before we make a waterfront.
Right, yeah, we're working. But in any event, I want to thank the state legislative delegation that is up here, that has done an incredible job in advocating on behalf of the people against the LNG facility. But everyone up here has been a leader in terms of fighting for economic development. So the point of this announcement here, the point of this press conference here today is twofold. One, we're done with the LNG facility. The second part of it is we need to pivot now and focus on economic development in the waterfront. We can't have our discussions on economic development be consumed by LNG. That's gone. We're now moving forward, and I look forward to this walk. We can take questions. I'd like to be honest. I'm very proud of the fact that Jim McGovern and I have worked so cooperatively for the entrance of the area. Sometimes there's friction, but I do want to acknowledge that we apparently have come up with our first disagreement. I have described the LNG plant as a vampire, and he has chosen to describe it as a witch. I want to put on the record that our metaphors vary, but that's the only daylight between us on this one. And I say daylight because that helps me, because daylight kills a vampire. That's right. So, well, let's, and as I said, we have Representative Aguiar, Senator Menard, Representative Rodriguez, Lieutenant Governor, Representative Haddad, the Mayor. This has been a joint state, city, federal effort, and we would not have been successful if there was any division here, and the city council as well, if there was any